Florida Auto Exchange Stadium is the scene of today's ball game between the Atlanta Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays. Only 6 remain in Florida prior to 2 exhibition games in Philadelphia. I'm calling it for us today, Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler.
Jamie, the Blue Jays were very active and productive in the offseason. They turned over their roster dramatically, but I don't think there's a player on this team that's going to have a bigger impact than Jose Reyes. A year ago, the Blue Jays used 5 different leadoff batters. This year, Reyes will fill that role. And beyond the 4-time All-Stars numbers, Pat, what does Reyes bring to this ball club?
Everybody in baseball knows about the tremendous physical talent that Jose Reyes brings to this ball club. 6 seasons of at least 180 hits. You put that at the top of the lineup, just makes everybody better. But he has what John Gibbons, manager of the Blue Jays, talks about is a live body. He's always bouncing around. He's got a lot of energy. He's very enthusiastic, and I think that's very infectious. At the top of the lineup, he's going to score a lot of runs. Now, you take that energy and you put it in the middle of the diamond as a shortstop. I think everybody feeds off of that, and I certainly think that the Blue Jays are going to feed off of that great energy.
And if there's any concern about whether or not Jose Reyes likes being a Blue Jays, these pictures will tell you all you need to know. He is one happy camper and anxious to get the regular season underway. Jamie?
All right, Buck, excellent. Thank you very much. Jose Reyes to lead off for the Jays today. Rajai Davis will be the DH. Cabrera, Bautista, Aaron Sebia, Lind against a left-hander. Sean Gilmartin of the Braves. Lind, by the way, hitting .372 right now. DeRosa's at third. You'll notice the absence of Colby Rasmus. Brett Laurie, who's got the rib problem. And Encarnacion with a swollen finger. He should be back in the lineup sometime soon. Here's the Braves lineup. It features both Uptons, although BJ is the DH, Jason Hayward in right field, and an old J there, Reed Johnson playing center field. The catcher, Matt Pagnozzi, you might recognize the surname there. That is Tom Pagnozzi's nephew. Pagnozzi was some good years, many years ago with the St. Louis Cardinals. So it's the Blue Jays and Braves coming up here on Sportsnet. Just a programming note for those of you watching on Sportsnet East, Tampa Bay against Ottawa comes your way at 1:30 Eastern Time, so you'll have to check out the ball game on either Ontario West Pacific or Sportsnet 1. Also a reminder, and check your listings, Game 5 of the '93 World Series comes your way tonight on Sportsnet. For now, though, a break, and then it's off to Dunedin as Brandon Morrow takes the hill against Atlanta.
Welcome to Dunedin, Florida. Florida Auto Exchange Stadium. Blue Jays will take on the Atlanta Braves this afternoon. It's a gorgeous day here in Florida. The Atlanta Braves are in town. Last season they won 94 games and finished behind the Washington Nationals. Top of the order, a new Brave, B.J. Upton. Everybody's familiar with B.J. having played so many years with the Tampa Bay Rays. Former Blue Jay Reed Johnson, Jason Hayward bats third. Justin Upton also acquired in the offseason and trade with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Chris Johnson playing first base this afternoon. Blake DeWitt, Sean Kazmar, Matt Pagnazzi, and Ramiro Pena, the former Yankee, playing at shortstop, and they're set to take on Brandon Morrow.
Takes the mound for his fifth start of the spring, 0-2 with a 745 earned run average. But I think more than anything, Brandon uses spring training really to ramp up to get ready for the regular season. Each start he adds a little bit more to what he does, goes a little bit longer, throws a little bit harder. This is start number 5 of the spring.
B.J. Upton will lead things off. Big swing and a miss, and we are underway. Upton hit his second home run of the spring yesterday against Philadelphia. He's having a good spring. 377. He's picked up 23 hits. A looper behind second base is Stewart's out, makes a running catch, one down. Let's take a look at the defense behind Brandon Morrow, and it's a good defense. The ball club should improve dramatically in the field. In left field, Melky Cabrera, a terrific outfielder with a strong throwing arm. Emilio Bonifacio is making his first start in the outfield. He's a terrific center fielder. Bautista in right. Reyes is Stewart up the middle. DeRosa is playing at third base. Brett Laurie still not ready to play. Lynn's at first, and Jose Reyes in the middle of the diamond.
He's only played 6 games for the Blue Jays because of the WBC. And John Gibbons was telling me today that he really wants to get him more innings and play every day now to get comfortable with his new teammates.
Reed Johnson playing in center field this afternoon. Of course, Reed Johnson started his big league career with the Blue Jays. Had a career high 61 RBI for Toronto in 2004.
Made the round this morning over in the Blue Jays clubhouse to say hello to a lot of his ex-teammates.
Got a looper in the right. Bautista's there, 2 outs. Well, you mentioned Brandon Morrow. He is penciled in the 2 spot in the rotation. He'll start behind R.A. Dickey. And I think it's a good spot for him. And as you mentioned, he has a distinct game plan working with Pete Walker, the pitching coach, as far as getting ready and what he wants to accomplish this spring.
I think more so than anybody on this starting rotation.
Big bouncing ball to second. Easy inning for Brandon Morrow. 3 up, 3 down. Morrow off to a good start this afternoon.
And now let's introduce today's
Skipper John Gibbons very relaxed. His second go around as the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. It's been a good spring for him, and he's glad to have his regular lineup back in camp. Jose Reyes will lead things off. Rajay Davis is the DH this afternoon. Switch hitting Melky Cabrera will bat in the 3rd spot, and Jose Bautista will clean things up. JP Arancibia, Adam Lynn, Mark DeRosa. We mentioned DeRosa playing third base in place of Brett Laurie. Meiser Astores in a battle with Emilio Bonifacio for second base. And they are going to take on the former #1 pick of the Braves, Sean Gilmartin.
That was just in 2011 when he was the #1 pick of the Atlanta Braves out of Florida State. 6'2", 190. He's the fifth best prospect in the Braves organization. He was the leader of the Southern League last year in WHIP at 1.15. If you want to watch him, think Mark Burley. Lots of strikes.
Jose Reyes batting right-handed, the switch hitter, top of the order. We mentioned in our open that Blue Jays used 5 different leadoff hitters last year trying to find the igniter, and they have a bona fide leadoff hitter in Reyes. Takes one inside. It's 2-0.
Well, they have something that they haven't had a long time, is that a switch hitter at the top of the lineup, a legitimate leadoff hitter. Switch hitter with a lot of speed who's got a great on-base percentage in his career.
Makes a strike. Well, he has a knack for getting on base, and certainly with the power in the middle of the Blue Jays order, you love to see the guys in the first and second spot set the table. Rajai Davis very capable of doing that. Fly ball into right. Jason Hayward, the young outfielder, hauls it in, 1 down. The Braves may have the best outfield in the National League when it's intact. Justin Upton will play in left field. Reed Johnson is the center fielder today. That will be B.J. Upton on a regular basis and Jason Hayward in right. Former Yankee Ramiro Pena is at shortstop. Sean Kazmar is at second. DeWitt and Johnson at the corners, and Matt Pagnazzi is behind the plate for Sean Gilmartin.
Yeah, a couple of changes you talked about in that outfield for the Braves this year. This is Justin Upton, who has played his entire career on the other side of the diamond in right field. This is his first chance in left field. And if his bat is any indication, it really agrees with him.
Yeah, he's had a great spring, and it's going to be an adjustment for him, but I'm sure he's just 25 years old. He can pick it up. Rajai Davis is the DH this afternoon. Off-speed pitch, he's out in front. Rajai's had a little bit of a rough spring, just 6 hits in 32 at-bats. But he's a veteran. He knows he's probably penciled in as the 4th outfielder on this team. Just a matter of getting yourself ready for the season.
Yeah, he knows he's on the team. He can work on a few things. He can work on his bunting, something that will help him during the season.
High, deep left field, upstairs, home run. That'll get him going. First home run of the season for Rajai Davis. Puts the Blue Jays out on top, 1-0.
Rajai Davis has become a much better off-speed hitter over the last couple of years, and that's what he's going to hit from Gilmartin. He threw him a changeup that he swung through. This time he stays back. Watch his hands stay back, double clutch, and that ball down and in from the left-hander. All you have to do is you got to make solid contact. He'll supply all the power. Davis has a nice swing to get the first hit and run for the Blue Jays.
Melky Cabrera goes after the first pitch. That's a fair ball inside the bag at third. Cabrera makes his turn around first. He's headed for second. We'll get there with a stand-up double. Melky Cabrera has had a big spring. That's his 18th hit so far.
.354 average coming into this one. He can hit, wasting no time. A young pitcher on the mound just gives up a home run as a hitter. What are you thinking about? Groove ball right down the middle on that first pitch, and Melky was waiting for it.
And a bit of a rough first inning for Sean Gilmartin. It's his second start of the spring in the big leagues. He's made 4 starts overall. Jose Bautista takes a breaking ball downstairs. Bautista leads the Blue Jays. He's got 5 home runs already this spring, batting just .244. Another breaking ball bounced off the third baseman, and the throw to first. Not in time. Bautista has a base hit. Melky Cabrera stays put at second.
3 hitters in a row that Blue Jays have hit that breaking ball. And they are seeing it out of the hand of the young left-hander. Bautista waits back and hits a bullet right off the glove of Blake DeWitt. That's Ramiro Pena, the ex-Yankee. hustling over trying to get Bautista, but he doesn't. Comes up just short.
So it's first and second. Still one out. J.P. Arancibia, the catcher, in the box. J.P. just back from the World Baseball Classic. Has just 26 at-bats in the spring. He's 10 for 26, has a homer so far.
I asked him about the WBC today, and I said, did you get anything out of it? And he said the one thing that he felt like he really got out of that was playing in pressure-packed situations in front of 40,000 people. It was almost like a playoff type of atmosphere, he said. And he felt like that. You can't duplicate that here in spring training.
Yeah, I think it's a great event, and everybody can learn something from it. Certainly being around the veteran players that were on the team also has to help you.
That was another thing he said, just watching and had the ability to watch David Wright prepare, or Joe Mauer, how they prepare and get ready for a game. I think that's always good for young players to go there and watch that and see what the veterans do. And maybe you can take something away from that.
Yeah, I think there are many situations and many examples of young players that have really blossomed after their participation in the World Baseball Classic. 3-1 count to Arancibia. Cabrera at second, Bautista at first. That'll load the bases for Adam Lind. Arancibia takes the one-out walk, and Gil Martin's in a jam early.
Well, he's a control pitcher, Gil Martin. We talked about the whip being the best in the Southern League last year. Doesn't walk too many people. He's got a plus changeup. And I think that's what Max Pagnozzi's out there to talk to. Hey, let's use your best pitch here. This is the time to do it. A left on left. Don't be afraid to use that changeup in this situation.
Well, Adam Lind will step in. Lind batting in the 6th spot in the batting order today. Just reflects the depth of the Blue Jays lineup and how dramatically it's improved. Adam's had a good spring. He's 16 for 43 with a home run. Bases are loaded. Breaking ball for a strike. This is a situation everybody's concerned about with Lind. How is he going to handle left-handed pitching? Last couple of years it's been a bit of a struggle for him, but he feels great this spring.
And he has been hitting lefties in the spring. The whole key for him, and if you talk to Chad Mottola, the hitting coach of the Blue Jays, the whole key for Adam Lind versus the left-handers is keeping that front shoulder in. He feels like if that thing starts leaking out and opening up a little bit too quickly, it's very vulnerable to the off-speed pitch. But so far this spring, they have done drills to keep that front shoulder in there, and it has shown versus the lefties this spring.
Back to the pitcher. Gil Martin home for one. Return throw in time. So Sean Gilmart maintains his composure, gets a 1-2-3 double play to end the inning, but Rajai Davis, his first home run of the spring. The Blue Jays are up 1-0. Fans, a reminder, the Blue Jay Honda Super Camps are back this year, and everybody's excited about the season and also excited about the chance to attend a great clinic presented by Baseball Canada and Little League Canada. It'll take place in London, Ontario, April 19th through the 21st at Centerfield Sports. The instructors will include Jesse Barfield, Sandy Alomar Sr., Devon White, Adam Stern, and Dwayne Ward. Visit BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy for more information. Here's the second of the Upton brothers, 25-year-old Justin Upton. Big offensive ceiling for Justin Upton. 286 in the spring so far. He's hit 5 home runs.
You know, Buck, you've seen it and you've heard it in baseball before. The change of scenery does you good. I think this is going to do him a world of difference going to the Atlanta Braves. For some reason, it just didn't work for him out in Arizona. Blessed with tremendous talent.
There's a fly ball to left field. Melky Cabrera looking up. It's off the wall. Cabrera plays it perfectly. Throw in toward the bag, but it's offline, and Justin Upton has a leadoff double to start the second. Sounded like he hit that ball off the end of the bat.
And it looked like it was just going to be a lazy fly ball to left field, but that shows you how strong he is. I think he caught that one off the end of the bat. It looked like a breaking ball away, and he muscles it to left field. Wind is not blowing out today, but with that short swing, not a lot of movement in the lower half, drives it to left field. I think it surprised Melky Cabrera in left field.
Boy, he played that well off the wall, didn't he? Barehanded it and had a chance to throw out Upton at second. Chris Johnson playing at first base this afternoon takes a first pitch strike. Johnson split time a year ago with Houston and Arizona. He's got big time power, and he's in a battle for that everyday position at third base.
Something that will help him is he can slide over to the other side of the diamond like he is this afternoon and play first base. If there's a tough lefty out on the mound, Freddie Freeman needs a day off, Chris Johnson can go over there. He can hit. Big spring. Over 380. He's a lot like Justin Upton in the type of swing he has. It's very controlled and very powerful.
Pops this one into center. Emilio Bonifacio sets up underneath, and tagging at second is Justin Upton, and he'll get to third. Brandon Morrow backing up the play, but the ball bounces into the dugout, and Upton will be awarded home plate. Unfortunate situation. It was a good throw from Bonifacio, and it got away at third as the ball looked like it hit Upton as he was sliding into third and bounced into the Braves dugout.
And Brandon Morrow was where he was supposed to be, also backing up the bag, but it might have ticked off a DeRosa or the runner and ricocheted. And you'll see Morrow right there, and there's a little opening in the fence in front of the dugout, and guess where the ball goes? Right through it.
That's one of those unfortunate errors. That'll be charged to Emilio Bonifacio, the center fielder. Strong throw, but it looked like it hit Upton on the helmet. Blake DeWitt, the third baseman. Former #1 pick of the LA Dodgers. DeWitt now trying to regain his stature. Got off to a terrible start a year ago with the Cubs. He went just 4 for 29 and was sent to the minor leagues. He was traded to the Chicago Cubs in the Ted Lilly deal back in 2010 at the July trade deadline. But the Dodgers thought they really had something when they promoted him to the big leagues as a second baseman that could swing the bat.
Yeah, with a little bit of power and a nice approach at the plate. And now he has had some time in the big leagues. He's getting a reputation now of a guy who can play different positions and can help you off the bench. I think he's a typical National League type of player, don't you?
Yeah, a guy that can fill in all over the place. Last year he battled injuries. He had a wrist injury middle of the season, then he finished up the season on the DL with a lower back strain. Another 0-2 pitch. He went too far. Aaron Sevilla blocks it. Throw to first base for the out. Morrow picks up his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Breaking ball a little bit firmer than the last time we saw Brandon Morrow. He did the first game of the spring. Remember that he was throwing a lot of changeups, a lot of breaking balls, but it didn't have that spin and that velocity that we just saw right there to pick up that strikeout.
So Morrow will work out of the windup with 2 down. Sean Kazmar, the second baseman. It's a first pitch curveball that missed upstairs. This is a split squad game for the Atlanta Braves. So they don't have their regular players here. Another fly ball hit well. Bonifacio on the run. He's not going to get there. Ball bounces off the fence, and Sean Kazmir has a 2-out double.
How do the Atlanta Braves keep coming up with those good young players that come up through their farm system? They all look very schooled in the fundamentals of hitting and fielding and pitching. And here's another one. Kazmar looks on that pitch from Morrow and sends it to deep left center field. Bonifacio, even with that great speed, can't run it down.
And catcher Matt Pagnazzi will bat with 2 outs. There's a first pitch strike as Morrow comes right back with the fastball. AAA numbers from a year ago. 224 with 7 home runs. Pagnazzi, originally signed by the Cardinals. Gets jammed on that fastball. So 0-2. If you recognize the name Pagnazzi, he's the nephew of former Cardinal catcher Tom Pagnazzi. He's always been classified as an outstanding defensive catcher and hasn't really had a whole lot of success with the bat.
Sounds like you're describing the other Pagnazzi. Great defender, trouble with the bat.
It runs in the family. 0-2 pitch upstairs. Of course, the Braves have a veteran, Brian McCann, who will be behind the plate. McCann coming back from shoulder surgery. The word out of camp is that he's going to be ready for the season. Breaking ball pulled to third. Nice hop for DeRosa. Across the diamond. Plenty of time, and the inning is over. But the Braves tied up on an error by the center fielder. It's a 1-1 ball game.
All right, fans in section 205. I need you all to stand up. p.m. to 7 p.m.
Just a reminder that the Eyes on IndyCar Series makes his debut on Sportsnet tomorrow with the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Follow Canadian drivers James Hinchcliffe and Alex Tagliani as they take on the world. And a reminder, we'll have a pregame show there, and Brian Johnson of ACDC will join the crew on set. Great race right here in Florida, St. Petersburg, the Honda Grand Prix. Mark DeRosa, the third baseman, takes the first pitch strike. The veteran DeRosa's had a big spring. .452 average. He's hit a couple of homers. And that average is going to move up as he gets his 15th hit of the spring. A leadoff single for the Blue Jays third baseman.
You can watch young hitters in spring training and see how vulnerable they are for certain pitches. And then you can watch veterans like Mark DeRosa, who can take that little sinking fastball, just kind of poke it into right field. That's why he's hitting up over 450 with that nice approach.
And DeRosa's aboard. Meiser is Sturis. Also a switch hitter, takes one inside. Well, you mentioned the flexibility of a roster when you have 4 switch hitters in your lineup. That's an awesome advantage for John Gibbons, the manager. Bounce toward third. DeWitt to second for 1. Back to first. Double play. Second double play turned by Atlanta as Sean Gilmartin gets the ground ball he was looking for.
When he is on, he's going to get a lot of ground ball outs. Young Gilmartin turned nicely by the veteran at third base, DeWitt, and then the youngster Kazmar. But you mentioned the switch hitters. I think that really works at the beginning of the game as the starter is starting to settle in. You're always, that breaking ball is always going into the batter when you've got that many switch hitters. And I think it really works at the end of a game for a manager. He doesn't have to keep going to his bench if he needs to pinch hit.
Emilio Bonifacio, 27 years old. He was part of that big Miami Marlins trade. Pushes the bunt foul, first baseline. Bonifacio didn't get the recognition of some of the other players in that trade, but boy, oh boy, the more you see him, the more you like him.
Athletic, versatile, fast. And he can do so many things to help a ball club.
Base hit, left field.
And did we mention he can hit also?
He's over 300 for the spring. That was his 16th hit in 50 at-bats.
Yeah, I think you're right. Josh Johnson and Jose Reyes were the big guns in that trade, but it's Bonifacio said, hey, don't forget about me. I'm a pretty good big leaguer.
He is 8 for 8 in steals this spring. Back to the top of the order for Reyes. This is just the second time this spring John Gibbons has had Bonifacio in the 9th spot and Reyes in the leadoff spot. The last time they hit back-to-back in this fashion, they were 5 for 5 and drove in 5 runs.
And you got to figure that that's going to put a little bit extra pressure on a pitcher. And when he knows there's some speed over there at first base and a guy at the plate, if he's on, then you've got some speedy guys on the bases with the Thunder coming up.
Ground ball to third base. Blake DeWitt across the diamond. Plenty of time. The Blue Jays will leave a runner on. It's 1-1 after 2 in beautiful Dunedin.
Baseball fans, after the
Exciting promotions on the Blue Jays schedule for the 2013 season. Blue Jays bobblehead giveaway days. Edwin Encarnacion's bobblehead will be given away Sunday, April 21st when the Yankees are in town. J.P. Arenciba will have his bobblehead day on Sunday, July 7th against the Minnesota Twins and Brett Lawrie. Sunday, August 11th, that's the day you can pick up a Brett Lawrie bobblehead. That'll be against the Oakland Athletics. A reminder, the first 20,000 fans for each game will receive a bobblehead. For more information and tickets, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com or stop by most Rogers Plus locations. Ramiro Pena, former Yankee, played in AAA last year with New York at 29 RBIs, trying to hook on here with the Braves. Ball and a strike. Brett Lawrie is progressing. We saw him taking some ground balls today. And what's the update as far as hitting?
Well, he was hitting in the cage and hasn't felt any pain, but there's a difference between hitting in the cage and hitting live pitching. And the plan for him is to go down, as you see the defense against Pena. The Blue Jays don't think that he's going to be able to pull Brandon Morrow. You see them shifting and shallow in the outfield towards left field. But to play Lawrie in the minor league games next week, starting next week, and you can control at bats down at the minor league level as opposed to the games up here. You can bat them lead off every inning if you want to.
There's also some concern if the injury should reoccur, you could backdate his potential disabled time to the last game he played in big league camp. So that's something of consideration as well. And at this point, there's really no reason to play him in a regular spring training game.
And that's the similar strategy that the Yankees are using with Derek Jeter. Backdating meaning that if he plays in one of these games, then you have to then count from that day forward if he's on the 15-day DL.
And obviously, I believe that this becomes a real stigma in people's mind about player not being ready for opening day. I mean, it's one day.
Yeah.
There's no reason to rush a player back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fouled off.
When you have veterans, Mark DeRosa at third base who can fill in, or a Meister Asturis who can play all over the diamond, Emilio Bonifacio, there is no reason to rush a guy back, especially a young and talented player like a Brett Lawrie.
Strike 3 call. Morrow fooled Pena with a changeup. Second strikeout of the afternoon.
That's a pitch that Brandon has been working on over the last couple of years, and he's becoming very comfortable with that changeup. He's starting to throw it any time now. Pena can't believe he got that from Morrow as Brandon picks up his second strikeout of the afternoon.
B.J. Upton knows all about Morrow. Goes after the first pitch. Bouncing ball. Reyes has to wait on it. In time, and 2 quick outs for Morrow here in the third. Jose Reyes just gives you the impression he enjoys playing baseball no matter where it is, middle of March in Dunedin, or in the World Baseball Classic, or in winter ball in Dominican. But he is certainly a guy that brings a lot of energy and joy to this ball club.
And you know what? In that WBC, I love seeing that. The enthusiasm. You played winter ball. You know what it's like. The passion that the Latin players show. I loved watching that.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays, throughout their history, they've had a dramatic Latin influence. Come back to Alfredo Griffin and Damaso Garcia, Tony Fernandez, George Bell. It's been a rich tradition of star players from Latin America. Reed Johnson. Good jump by Bonifacio. He got a nice read off the bat. Quick inning for Brandon Morrow. We'll go to the bottom of the third. It's 1-1 in Florida. You can check out the Raptors tonight. NBA actions. They take on the New York Knicks. Rajay Davis drops down a beauty. What a play by Blake DeWitt. Whoa. That looked like base hit all the way. Davis homered in his first at bat. Was trying to lead off with the bunt. And Blake DeWitt made a terrific defensive play for the first out of the inning.
I didn't think that he had any chance of getting Rajay Davis over at first base. The bunt was perfect by Davis. You deaden it, roll it right up that line, try to keep it as close as possible. But DeWitt comes up in one motion, grabs it, and throws out a very fast runner at first base. Nice play.
Outstanding play, certainly. Has to enhance his chances to make the club with a play like that. Melky Cabrera doubled his first time up, having a terrific spring. High and deep to left, and that hot spring will continue. Home run, Melky Cabrera.
The Milkmen are in the house to watch their hero, Melky Cabrera. Looked like it might have been another breaking ball from Gil Martin. And a good hitter. You throw a breaking ball in the zone and he's got his timing down, he's going to hurt you. Stay back. Yep. Breaking ball down and in, and he knows he got it. Home run number 2 of the spring for Melky.
Jose Bautista takes a changeup for a strike. Cabrera got off to a great start last year. He started the season with an 8-game hit streak and looked like he's in a groove right now.
Yeah, no movement. That's all hands right there.
Boy, oh boy, you hate to get too excited about spring numbers, but when you look at this lineup now that Reyes is back, Encarnacion is back, there's an awful lot of depth in this lineup.
There's one Matt that's missing this afternoon. Edwin Encarnacion not in the lineup.
Encarnacion injured his right index finger in the World Baseball Classic in his last at bat. He's still not ready to go. Bautista with a good rip.
So you add that run producer to this lineup. Colby Rasmus has been back in the lineup. He's got a day off this afternoon. But you're right, there's a lot of hitters up and down this lineup.
Well, Cabrera had a phenomenal season a year ago, and obviously it was cut short with the suspension that occurred August 15th. Failing a drug test, he missed 50 games at the end of the season. Bautista fights it off. At the time of that suspension for Cabrera, he led the major leagues with 159 hits and had 52 multi-game hits. He was on fire. Of course, the MVP of the All-Star game in Kansas City. Outside, Bautista lays off that changeup. Sean Gilmartin making his second start of the spring in a big league game for the Braves. Another changeup, and he didn't offer. Home plate umpire Dan Isonia said no swing, and Bautista reaches with a 1-out walk.
You knew that was coming. I loved facing these type of pitchers at the end of spring training. This is Bautista holding up so strong with his hands. I loved facing him because they couldn't throw the ball by him, but you saw a lot of off-speed pitches, and it could really help your timing right at the end of spring training. And it would slow you down, and that's what you need to help get your timing.
J.B. Arancibia. Big cut on the first pitch. Arancibia walked back in the first inning. And he was forced at second on the front end of a, or he stranded at second. The pitcher, Gil Martin, had a 1-2-3 double play to get out of a jam in the first. Another off-speed pitch. Do you think Arancibia has enough time to really get his timing down after missing so many games because of the WBC?
You know, he talked about that to me today. I was asking him again about the WBC, and he said, I missed out on a lot of work going out there and playing in that tournament, so he's got to work a little bit extra to get that timing back in the cage. He was out there this morning before anybody else hitting off of a tee in the cage. Went back there when I started hearing all the the swings and the bat hitting the ball. There was JP all by himself getting his work in to get that timing and get that rhythm back.
Well, at this point of his career, he knows what it takes to get ready for the season, and good for him to put in that extra time. So Adam Lind will get another opportunity with runners aboard. Last time up, bases were loaded. He hit into that double play that ended the bottom of the first. What would you do if you were Lind against Gil Martin in this at bat?
Especially after this breaking ball right here. I'm thinking line drive right over the shortstop. That'll help you keep that front shoulder in. He's not going to throw the ball by you.
There go the runners. No throw. Jose Bautista led the way. Arancibia followed him, a double steal. Just a reminder, the Blue Jays have extra weapons this year. Bautista got a good walking start.
That's Jose being Jose right there. Just paying attention and seeing that the young pitcher's just giving him one look. Look back and you get a timing off that starting pitcher. But back to Lind, I'd be thinking about left center field. I'm going to try and hit a line drive right over the shortstop's head. And what that does, it helps you to track the ball just a little bit longer. And it'll help you keep that front shoulder in. And if you're worried about getting jammed, he shouldn't be able to jam you.
Outside corner. It's 3-1. Just because Gil Martin doesn't have the kind of velocity that you are concerned about. You can take that inside half and discount it until you get 2 strikes. High breaking ball. That'll load the bases again. Adam Lind's done a pretty good job of working the count, getting on base, and he gets on base and sets the table for Mark DeRosa.
He's in a good place. Seeing the ball extremely well.
Lind has 7 walks now. On base percentage has been outstanding. .431 coming into this game. Mark DeRosa singled his first at bat.
These are the types of pitchers where if you get a little bit too anxious or you want to do a little bit too much, where you start rolling over the ball and getting it on the ground. The approach that DeRosa had his first time up is perfect, I think, against a pitcher like this. Look for the ball away, hit the ball to right field. If he happens to try and push you back with a fastball in the inner half, just use your hands. Be a little bit quicker.
Mark DeRosa signed with the Atlanta Braves. He was a 7th round pick in 1996 out of the University of Pennsylvania. There's that off-speed pitch. DeRosa was a terrific 2-sport star at the University of Pennsylvania. He was a quarterback and played high school football at a real powerhouse Passaic Catholic, Bergen Catholic, excuse me, in New Jersey, and he was a terrific athlete. Fights this one off. What do you think the Blue Jays want from DeRosa as an extra guy on their bench?
I think now that he's playing, he'll show some leadership, I think, now that he's playing. It's not going to hurt the ball club. He'll help them. But I think the leadership, what it takes to prepare yourself day in and day out, and I think Brett Laurie will be the biggest benefactor having Mark DeRosa next to him.
DeRosa has experience in that role. Last year he played with the Washington Nationals. They had a young man named Brian Harvey. Cut on and missed. Looks like another changeup. Just 76 miles an hour, and DeRosa was out in front.
Again, that's his best pitch. Gil Martin is the changeup. Throws it any time. He's got a slider. It's improving, but it's still a little bit below average. His fastball's 88 to 92. But that changeup, it's a plus pitch for him.
Gil Martin's done a pretty good job of minimizing the impact of 7 Blue Jay hits, 2 solo home runs, and a couple of double plays. That's it.
He looks like a typical Atlanta Brave type of young pitcher, doesn't he? Very fluid on the mound, compact delivery, throw a lot of strikes. Don't hurt yourself.
Kind of nice, easy motion.
Organizations just have a way of developing those young players.
Well, when you look at the Braves and their rotation, and everybody say, well, as soon as Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox leave, they'll fall in the dumper. That's not been the case at all.
Not even close.
This year, Tim Hudson will start things off. He'll open up the season for the Braves. Paul Mahalam will be the second starter. Then Chris Medlin had a terrific season last year. He finished up 10-1. Meiser Stores fouls it off. Mike Minor and Julio Teheran will be the 5-man rotation for the Braves. And then, of course, you love the bullpen.
Yeah. What bullpen throws harder than the Atlanta Braves? They've also got a young kid coming back in the middle of the season, Brandon Beachy. It's going to be like trading for a established starter.
2-2 on the ground, passed away into left field. Bautista's in the score. Right behind him is Aaron Sebia, and Meiser Stores delivers a clutch 2-out, 2-run single to left. 4-0, 4-1 Blue Jays.
Boy, just what the doctor ordered. Blue Jays have been knocking on the door all 3 innings. They've left 3 heading into the 3rd inning here, but Meiser is going to pick up 2 big runs. Gil Martin again tries to throw a fastball in the inner half, and again, that perfect hitting. Just use your hands, get the bat head out just a little bit quicker, and he rifles one by DeWitt for a double.
That gives his Stores 9 RBIs for the spring. Done a nice job. Bautista with that lead steal to set up the double steal. Moves into scoring position and jogged home from third. Aaron Sebia raced home from second. A 3-run inning. Number 9 hitter, Emilio Bonifacio.
You know what else you have, Buck, with the lineup that's a little bit different this year from the Blue Jays than last year? I don't think they're going to have the strikeouts that we saw last year. There were a ton of strikeouts in the Blue Jays starting lineup. Now with all these switch hitters and the guys that really make things tough for pitchers with short swing, they don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play. 2-out base hits are going to come a lot more than they did last year.
Yeah. The Blue Jays offensively had a lot of holes in their lineup. They just couldn't string things together. And then, of course, they lost Bautista for the majority of the second half of the season, and that changed things dramatically. This is popped up behind second. And Reed Johnson and Kazmar collide, but Kazmar makes the catch. But Blue Jays put a 3-spot on the board. Melky Cabrera is off to a great start. He doubled in the first and a homer in the third. The Milkman is on fire. Reyes having a little fun with the ground crew after they cleaned up the infield. I tell you what, he brings a lot of joy and a lot of life to this ball club, and it's going to be a different look at shortstop with Jose Reyes there, 4-time All-Star. And there was a lot of concern about Reyes. He had signed a long-term contract with the Miami Marlins and was traded after the first year. People say, well, how's he going to react being moved already? I think you can see already that he is very comfortable in the Blue Jays organization.
It's so genuine, too. I mean, what you see is what you get. He loves playing the game, and his teammates love him. It's going to be a lot of fun watching him this summer.
And besides all of that, he's a pretty good player.
He's pretty good.
Mara is set to start the top of the fourth. Jason Hayward had a good season a year ago. 27 home runs. He drove in 82. 269 average, and he's certainly going to benefit from the impact of having Justin Upton hitting behind him and B.J. Upton hitting in the top of the order. Liner into center right at Bonifacio. Hayward's retired, one down.
What you spoke about it early in the game about the outfield. The outfielder of the Atlanta Braves, multi-dimensional. You've got power, you've got speed, you've got defense, you've got great throwing arms.
What outfield in the American League do you think compares to that of the Braves?
Well, I don't think there is one.
How about the Angels? Hamilton.
Okay, he's okay.
Yeah, he's all right. Mike Trout.
Trout's okay.
And then there's speculation that Peter Borges is going to be the center fielder.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, doesn't have the power of the other guys.
He's a great defender. Probably the best defensive center fielder in the American League. But when you've got 5 guys who are 5-tool players, or excuse me, 3 guys who are 5-tool players in the outfield for the Braves. And I just don't know if there's another one out there. Maybe the Washington Nationals have a pretty decent outfield.
Now they have Span in center. That makes a big difference for them, too.
Harper and Worth.
Ball on the strike. Foul back. Justin Upton had a career high 31 home runs in 2011. Drove in 88. And there were a lot of rumors about he and his manager in Arizona butting heads, Kirk Gibson. And Gibson actually texted Justin Upton after the trade and congratulated him and said, I know you're really going to look forward to playing with your brother. And then Gibson kind of referenced himself as a player and compared himself to Justin Upton. He said, I butted heads with my manager, Sparky Anderson, in Detroit. And in the long run, I knew that Sparky was right for me. That's popped up a mile high. DeRosa drifting into foul ground. Fighting the sun makes the catch.
Blue Jays Spring Training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by MLB 13 The Show. Only on PS3 and Vita. Available in stores now.
-26 here in Dunedin. It's 2 degrees in Toronto. So this is the place to be on a Saturday afternoon. 2 outs. Chris Johnson pulls it foul. We mentioned Chris Johnson. There are his numbers last season. 15 homers and 76 RBIs. He split time between Houston and Arizona.
Saw him around the batting cage this morning. He's a lot bigger than I remember. Thicker.
Morrow wanted that fastball. Just missed the outside corner.
He's got a nice swing, and there's not a lot of holes in his swing.
There's that big breaking ball. Bonifacio on the run. Reyes will go out and help him out. Makes a nice basket catch to end the inning. A 1-2-3, top half of the fourth. Blue Jays up 4-1. The road to Rio. Who will rise? Who will fall? Sportsnet exciting coverage of World Cup qualifying continues Tuesday as soccer nations collide. Italy, France, Spain are all in action Tuesday right here on Sportsnet. Leadoff man Jose Reyes 0 for 2 so far this afternoon. A gaudy spring training average. He's now 9 for 17. Big cut on an off-speed pitch. Fly ball into right. Hayward hasn't measured, and Reyes is retired. He's 0 for 3. We mentioned Reyes is off to a great spring, and he was off to a red-hot start with Blue Jays before he left, but he continued it with the Dominican team in the WBC.
You know what I like seeing is the on-base plus the slugging. I mean, that's what his job is going to be this year. Get on base, score runs, create havoc for the starting pitcher. And then hopefully the guys hitting behind him when he is on base, or Melky Cabrera's on base, more opportunities for Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion to drive in runs.
Well, he has got the ability to be a tremendous distraction once he reaches base. He's got speed. He's always a threat to steal.
You know what he can do also? He can score from first base on an extra base hit. That is important when you've got that speed at the top of the lineup. It might be you're facing a very tough pitcher that day, and an extra base hit might be the only run you get that day because of his speed.
Rajay Davis, a quick strikeout victim, called out on the inside fastball. Dan Iasonia brings him up. Another strikeout for Gil Martin. That's his second of the afternoon.
We were touching on that this morning when we were talking about the difference between the Blue Jays of this year as opposed to the last few years. The team element of speed, they can match up against those number ones a lot better now.
Melky Cabrera is a terrific base runner, and he's a high percentage base stealer. So he brings a lot to the table as well.
I thought you made a great point when we were talking about that, about the Blue Jays going out on the West Coast and running into those tough teams, trying to out-hit them. There's too many good pitching staffs out there.
Well, the American League West has dramatically improved, of course, with the rise of Oakland. Their great pitching staff. Seattle's always a tough place for the Blue Jays to play, and we all know what the Angels are all about. Fouled into the glove of the catcher.
Yeah, the Seattle Mariners are going to be a very improved team. They've got some good young pitchers coming.
They got some prospects in the minors that are just a month or two away from having an impact, and they picked up Michael Morris back from the Washington Nationals and Kendrys Morales. What a good pitch. Well, a bounce back inning for Sean Gilmart. A couple of strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning. Retires the top of the Blue Jays order. 3 up, 3 down. Brandon Morrow set to start the 5th inning. He's had a good outing here this afternoon. Just 1 run on 2 hits. He hadn't walked a batter and struck out 2. This is exactly what John Gibbons wants to see. And Morrow's 5th start of the spring. He'll have 1 more before the regular season start. He'll start game 2 against the Cleveland Indians on Wednesday night at Rogers Center.
Remember him last spring? Yeah, very mediocre at the beginning. And then with each start, he got a little bit better. The breaking ball was a little bit better. His changeup was a little bit better. He's a little bit firmer with his fastball. That's why you don't pay attention to any of those spring training numbers. Guys are working on stuff.
That's a pretty good pitch. Tough pitch to lay off. 0-2 fastball missed down and away. And Morrow came into camp with a perfect mindset. He said, I'm going to do exactly what I did last year. And that's what he's done. The Witt gets jammed, and Reyes ranges to his right, makes the catch.
We did his first game. We talked about it back on February the 23rd. Remember that day?
Wow.
Against Detroit? He said, I'm going to throw 1 inning. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to throw my 1 inning. He threw a changeup to Prince Fielder, and he hit a home run. But from then, he's up to 2 innings. He was then up to 3. He used his changeup and curveball a lot in starts 3 and 4.
Second baseman Sean Kazmir goes after the first pitch. Lazy fly ball to center, 2 outs. Well, the pitching staff should be a real strength. Ricky Romero has had a rough spring. By his own admission, things haven't gone the way he would like. He had some loose bodies removed from his elbow in the offseason. He had his knees attended to, and right now he's really not throwing the ball all that well. He threw a minor league game the other day over at Bobby Matic Complex and had a rough outing.
You know, add into that, Blue Jays are going to, I don't want to say remake his windup, but they're tweaking his mechanics to help get him online and keep him online going to home plate so he throws more strikes consistently.
Past the diving third baseman Mark DeRosa into left field. Matt Pagnazzi, the catcher, has a 2-out single. That snaps a streak of 9 straight retired by Morrow. Well, talking about Ricky Romero, and obviously you make a mechanical adjustment, you have to give the player time to really put it into play. Pete Walker, the pitching coach, in his first year in that role, has spent a lot of time thinking about how to get Ricky back on track. And we're talking about one of the best left-handers in baseball for the last 3.5 years, and last year had a terrible season. You got to get him back to where he was in 2011.
So you start all over. They've moved him from the first base side of the rubber a little bit more towards the middle of the rubber to help him clear his hips just a little bit more. It felt like he was throwing across his body too much. Also felt like he was landing on his heel and there wasn't any give to his front foot, and he was locking himself up. So that is something that he's going to concentrate on over the last 10 days of spring training. We'll see where it takes him.
And we hope to be joined later on this afternoon by Pete Walker, the pitching coach. Real Pena fights off an outside pitch. It's 0-2. Pete will also, I'm sure, bring us his thoughts on Brandon Morrow's outing, which has been terrific in my mind. Anytime you get a pitcher into a streak, 9 straight retired at this point of the spring, that's very encouraging. It's encouraging for a couple of reasons. First of all, it suggests that he's got command of all of his pitches, and he's throwing a lot of strikes. Boy, he looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's using them all also. And even though this is a split squad game for the Atlanta Braves, they brought some big league hitters over here. I mean, he's not going through some double-A guys.
Base hit up the middle. Oh, not pleased with that last pitch. He had Pena in a hole and let him off the hook.
Well, that one tumbled. Where he picked up his strikeouts, they were snapping breaking balls. That time it looked like he got behind it and it just tumbled towards the plate. Not much on that one, too much of the plate. You can see the reaction from both J. Pierre and Sebia and Brandon Morrow that they weren't real pleased with that offering.
Well, especially this part of the batting order. get 2 outs, and then the 8 and 9 hitters get singles to continue the inning, and it's something that you don't want to happen on a regular basis. B.J. Upton, this is the guy that can do some damage.
Yeah, with one swing. 28 home runs, 78 driven in last season when he was with Tampa Bay.
Played his entire career with Tampa Bay until playing out his free agency. Morrow quickly ahead 0-2.
Okay, now he's got a couple of options here. Depending on how he feels. He blew the first fastball up and in by B.J. Upton. He's got that great slider, so he's got a couple of choices he can go with.
Now, Upton certainly is prone to strike out. 0-2, 2 outs, 2 aboard. Just foul. Upton stayed on that pitch pretty well.
Wasn't a bad pitch from Brandon. Down and away. He usually gets a lot of check swings or a swing through that breaking ball, but Upton stayed on that one, and he came very close to keeping it fair.
B.J. Upton has averaged 155 strikeouts over the last 6 years. He'll chase that high fastball.
Yep, right around the letters. Get it up there with a little something on it.
Downstairs, little looper in the right. This is trouble. It bounces in front of Bautista. He comes up throwing. Oh, what a play. Ball bouncing around on Aaron Seavey behind home. Matt Pagnazzi, the catcher, running from second with 2 outs. Didn't get a very good jump. He's got to take a shot of scoring on that ball.
Yeah, it's Terry Pendleton over there at third base, the third base coach with the split squad.
But what a play by Bautista. To get in front of it, smother it, and then get to throw off.
He could have scored 3 or 4 times the way the Blue Jays handled this. Watch this. Bounces past Aaron Seavey. He goes over there to pick it up, falls down, kicks it underneath the screen, finally picks it up and calls timeout. What you have to do right there to stop all runners. But home plate was wide open for a long time.
Bases loaded. Reed Johnson takes a strike. Morrow continues to pound the strike zone. He's had trouble finishing off at bats. Once he got the 2 outs, Pagnazzi, Pena, and Upton all with singles.
And though that's what we mean. Depends on how you feel. Do you want to try a breaking ball to get a guy out, or you want to use your fastball? It all depends on how you feel here. Those are the kind of things you don't worry about when the regular season is underway.
Base hit into center. Pagnazzi's in. Right behind him is Kazmir. The throw goes to third base. It is not in time. Reed Johnson delivers a 2-out, 2-run single to center. It's a 1-run game. Blue Jays are up 4-3. All of this happening with 2 outs.
And 2 strikes on Pagnazzi, 2 strikes on Ramiro Pena, 2 strikes on B.J. Upton. Reed Johnson said, I'm not going to get there. I'm going to go ahead and swing early. But he's making decent pitches, and they're not hitting it very hard. They're just hitting it where the Blue Jays aren't standing. Inside out swing right there by Reed Johnson, softly in the center field to be able to score a couple of runs. With Bonifacio coming up trying to get him at third base, but the speed of Upton, he can go first and third.
Pete Walker out to give Brandon Morrow a little bit of a break. This inning was breezing along. He had retired the first 2 batters to start the inning to stretch his streak to 9 straight retired. And then Matt Pagnazzi, Ramiro Pena, B.J. Upton all singled, and Reed Johnson, the veteran, picks up his 3rd and 4th RBI of the season. And now you've got the dangerous Jason Hayward.
That's the problem when you can't get those 8 and 9 hitters out and you turn the lineup over. You're going to end up facing the middle of the lineup with runners on.
This is how spring training stats can be deceiving. You look at Morrow, the way he's pitched all afternoon, and you have to say, well, he's ready for the season. And then he runs into a little bit of a problem here in the 5th, and the line turns ugly. That one skips by Aaron Sebia, and he falls down again. Remember, it's been raining here, and Reed Johnson's going to go all the way to third. Beats the throw. It rained here very heavily all night last night, and they did a heck of a job of getting his field prepped for this game. But dirt's fine, but the grass area all over the place is wet, and Aaron Sebia has lost his footing twice in this inning.
The ball's going to come right back to it. Look like a changeup. JP tries to get in front of it, knock it down. It's going to come right back to him, and he feels like he has a shot, but the feet come right out from under him. Right here, he's going to grab it, and we are tied just like that.
Reed Johnson's had all of the subtleties of doing little things that help your ball club win, and this is a heads-up piece of base running.
Good outfielder. He'll take the extra base. And if you're sleeping, he's going to take another one on you.
And Hayward will take a walk. Boy, the inning really fell apart after the first two were retired in quick fashion. So now you got to keep your eye on Jason Hayward. He had 21 steals last year.
Come on, Brandon. You've done it a million times. You can do it again.
I agree with that. 2 outs. Justin Upton, you mentioned the lineup, although it's a split squad team for Atlanta. They got their horses in the top of the order. Now Morrow pulls that one well out of the strike zone. All of a sudden you see him trying to reach back for a little extra.
And that's where, you know, as a pitcher in spring training, do you try and do that? Do you try and reach back for a little something extra to get that final out? You come out of your mechanics, you're breezing right along, you're staying within yourself, you're throwing quality pitches. Now it looks like those last couple, he's trying to force it instead of making it happen.
Right, and you get frustrated. You're having a good outing, and you know you only have one more start left before the regular season starts, and everything happened with 2 outs. And now you're really in a jam with Justin Upton. He can freewheel it. He's already hit a double this afternoon, scored a run in the second. Foul back. That was one of the better fastballs that Morrow has thrown all afternoon, 95 miles an hour.
I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing.
I agree with you.
For Brandon Morrow. Find yourself in trouble. Hey, let me find my way out of it.
Gets that heart pumping a little bit. Pulled in the hole. Reyes knocks it down. He'll have no play. Reed Johnson comes in to score. The Braves have scored 4 here in the top of the 5th, all with 2 outs, and have taken a 1-run lead. Be the second hit of the afternoon for Justin Upton.
Where team speed shows up. I think he was in between catching it quickly and trying to get that lead runner at second base, but because it's Jason Hayward, he could run just a little bit. Tries to go a little bit too quickly, pops out of his glove, and the Braves break the tie.
Chris Johnson's 0 for 2 so far. He was tied for the team lead with 23 hits coming into this game this afternoon. Freddie Freeman, who's playing in the other game of the split squad schedule for Atlanta, he has 23 hits, as does B.J. Upton, who now has 24.
I'm sure you've seen some of the scores that the Braves have put up this spring.
Yeah.
They look like football scores.
Well, they're first in the National League coming into this game in hits. They have 287 hits this spring, and they're second only to the Chicago Cubs in home runs. They've hit 37 home runs this spring.
How about 153 runs scored in 28 games?
Ground ball to third. DeRosa backhands it. He has no play at third base. He has to go across the diamond to end the inning. But Brandon Morrow gives up 4 2-out runs, and Atlanta has taken a 5-4 lead.
Take a look down the first base schedule because it starts at 8.
Fans, we've been waiting for this week all winter long. Opening week presented by Honda. The Cleveland Indians will be at Rogers Center to start the season off April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then John Farrell and the Boston Red Sox come into town for a weekend series, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Honda opening night is sold out, but there are plenty of tickets available for the rest of the week. 6 games. All opening week Honda opening week baseball. You can call the Blue Jays for tickets at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com. Stop by most Rogers Plus locations. Brandon Morrow was breezing along, had retired 9 straight with 2 outs in the top of the 5th, and then ran into a buzzsaw.
Well, I don't think that had anything to do with how he was thrown. He was making some pretty decent pitches. The ball wasn't hit very hard 3 times. And the next thing you know, you've got the bases loaded. You've got to come up and make a pitch. So I think there's a little frustration on the type of hits that he gave up there in that inning.
John Gibbons is looking at the overall body of work, and it's been pretty positive for Brandon Morrow. Jose Bautista tapped out to start the inning. Looked like he got a changeup and hit it off the end of the bat.
Gil Martin using his fastball just a little bit more, and he's retired 5 in a row.
J.P. Arencibia, perfect on the afternoon. He's walked, singled, and scored. Pulled foul. JP fights off an inside fastball. He's behind 1-2. Talking about Arencibia catching up after being away from the ball club for about 2 weeks. And he's anxious to put the work in, but it's just a matter of getting some game repetition, some at-bats. I think that's going to be key for him to get off to a good start. Drives this one a mile to center field. That ball is out of here. That'll get him going. Perfect day at the plate for J.P. Arencibia. That's his 2nd long ball of the spring, and he has tied it up.
Yeah, you put the work in, and good things are going to happen. Being away at the WBC, that's game prep. They're getting ready for a game like it was the regular season. Much different than the spring training where you can go in the morning. You know, you can take 100 swings if you have to, if you want to work on breaking balls. So again, he was out there early today. It's paying dividends. High breaking ball. Get the head out for that one.
So we're knotted up once again at 5-5. Adam Lind has grounded into a double play, and he's also walked. Breaking ball strike.
You got to fight yourself to stay in there. You don't want to stay on your heels when that lefty throws that breaking ball. You want to stay in there. That was a pretty good cut right there.
A couple of defensive changes. David Rahm takes over in left field for Justin Upton. And Reed Johnson had a good day. He gives way to Todd Cunningham, who comes on and play defense in center. So a couple of the regulars out of the lineup here as we work in the bottom of the fifth. Bounced in the dirt. Just off the outside edge. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Blue Jays have touched Gilmartin for 3 home runs. This is popped up. Shallow center field. Cunningham calling for it. Gets there and makes the catch. 2 down.
Blue Jays spring training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by MLB 13 The Show. Only on PS3 and Vita. Available in stores now.
Beautiful afternoon in Dunedin, Florida. Florida Auto Exchange Stadium. Home with the Blue Jays. Long drive left field. Mark DeRosa off the wall. DeRosa is around first. He'll stop there as David Rahm gets the ball back in quickly. Well, the Blue Jays with 10 hits now, including 3 home runs. DeRosa, with his second hit of the afternoon, has had a good spring.
Showing some power this afternoon. You mentioned the home runs. This one, he just misses about halfway up the wall in left field. Turning around that fastball. Second hit of the afternoon for DeRosa.
Breaking ball strike to Meiser Asturias. Asturias drove in a pair his last time up back in the third. Had a single past the third baseman with 2 outs. Outside. 2 balls and a strike to the Blue Jays second baseman, Meiser Asturias. Right on the corner. Another defensive replacement this inning. Jose Martinez has come in to play right field, taking over for Jason Hayward. A lot of minor leaguers have made the trip over here to Dunedin from Orlando. On the ground. Second base for the force out. The inning is over. But J.P. Arancibia connects for his second home run of the spring and has tied it at 5-5. Long, deep home run to center. Arancibia has knotted it up. Fans, just a reminder, you can catch all Raptors NBA action tonight as they take on the New York Knicks. It's all right here on Sportsnet. It begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time. That's on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Ontario. Great NBA action. New York Knicks a little banged up right now, but always a formidable opponent. Brandon Morrow back to work the 6th inning. That was a first pitch strike to Blake DeWitt. Morrow would like to finish up this outing on a real positive note. Misses with the fastball downstairs.
Yeah, this is when they start to really ramp it up and get into game situations. Brandon's first 3 starts this year, he's telling me he uses it like live BP. I'm just throwing to batters. I'm working on my mechanics. Just try to get things in shape. Then the last couple of starts, you start pitching like it's the regular season, and you use your #1 stuff to get through the innings.
Well, I think you made a great point about Morrow really being able to benefit from that jam he was in the 5th to get the heart pumping. And he was a little frustrated when he got back to the dugout, but now he's got a chance to finish up on a real high note with a good inning here.
You know the best thing about that? Doesn't show up on your baseball card.
Spring training.
Yeah, that ERA that's over 7, just wipe that clean come April the 2nd.
What a year he had last year. Got off to a great start, finished up the season 10-7 with a 2.96 ERA. Had 3 shutouts. He was on a roll early in the season, then unfortunately that injury that popped up in June.
Would love to have seen his final numbers if he could have gotten 32 starts.
The ball is ripped down the right field line. That's a fair ball up against the wall. DeWitt is headed for second. Bautista gets it back in. A leadoff double for Blake DeWitt, the third baseman. DeWitt's first hit of the afternoon.
It's a sign that he might be tiring as that ball is up. It's the first pitch that we have seen the Braves swing at and make contact on a pitch that was up. Everything has been down and on the corners. DeWitt picks up his first hit on that extra base double.
Morrow is scheduled to pitch 6 innings. This would be his last inning. Another fastball, and your point is right on the money. That's generally the sign that he's starting to lose his legs a little bit. Can't get the ball down, can't get through his delivery. Sean Kazmar, 1 for 2. Changeup. But that's the one thing Morrow has really developed. When that fastball isn't there for him, he has now mastered the changeup to get him back into the at-bat as he did right there.
In the past, he would throw a little bit harder and try and throw the ball by him, and now he has learned to take a little something off. Looking at the stats from last year, he threw twice as many changeups as he did in 2011. 11% of his pitches last year were changeup. The year before is about 5. So he is learning to trust it. He's learning how to throw it in certain counts, and it's becoming, I think, a weapon for him.
It's a great pitch. Inside. Yeah, when you think about the top pitchers in baseball, they all have a good off-speed pitch, whether it's a split finger pitch or a changeup. But you have to be able to take the sting out of the batter's bats. Take that changeup and really mess with the timing of the hitters. It's a valuable pitch.
Yeah, you have to learn it and you have to trust it. Learning it is one thing, and then trusting and throwing it in a game and having success, 2 different things.
And of course, by human nature, pitchers need to have positive feedback. Got to see some good results. Can't just throw a changeup and throw it because somebody told you to throw it. You got to recognize that it's an effective weapon. The pitch foul back. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Blue Jays jumped out to a 1-0 lead. Rajai Davis with his first home run of the season, homered in the first. Braves tied it up with a single run in the top of the second. Blue Jays scored 3 in the third, and the Braves scored 4 in the fifth. That ball was punched to the right side. Historis throws out Casper, 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Well, Pete Walker is out, and obviously Brandon Morrow has hit his pitch limit. We'll have a new pitcher when we come back here to Dunedin. 5-5 ball game. Brandon Morrow leaves the ball game with 1 out here in the 6th inning, and Sean Gibbons is over to talk to him about the overall outing. Give me your impressions of Morrow this afternoon.
Well, for the first 4 innings, outstanding. He had 9 straight batters retired at one point, throwing sliders, keeping the ball down. He was within himself. And then that 5th inning, he made good pitches, and he got robbed a couple of times. They blooped some hits in there. And then it looked like frustration started to settle in. He got tired, hit his pitch count, and he was finished.
Matt Pagnazzi fouls off the first pitch. Infield has drawn in, and we're not really sure who this pitcher is. Juan Perez come into the game and throws the breaking ball, check swing, and goes too far.
The reason we didn't know Juan Perez, he switched numbers on us today. But he has opened up some eyes in spring training. He's got a very good slider. There's a lot of sliders to pick up strikeouts this spring. Needs one here.
Popped up. That ball is going to be back over the Blue Jays dugout and out of play. Juan Perez making his 7th appearance of the spring. And you can see last year at Milwaukee at 12.86 strikeouts per 9 innings.
And that's why they brought him in right here. Runner on third base, less than 2 outs. Show me that slider, get a strikeout here. Here's the infield in. The Braves, with not a lot of speed at the plate or at third base, will probably play the ball through.
Strike 3. There's that strikeout capability, and Perez comes up with a big strikeout on a breaking ball.
It starts out of the strike zone and then makes a U-turn and comes right back into it. Hitter Pagnazzi gives up on it. Can't believe it, but it's right there. Watch it as it comes across the plate. Plenty high enough.
Big strikeout that'll allow the infield to drop back into normal depth. 2 down. Blake DeWitt still at third base. 5-5 game. Another breaking ball, another strike. Romero Pena had a base hit, came around to score in the 5th inning. Perez is 34 years old, from the Dominican Republic. Another breaking ball. What a job by Perez. Called into the ball game with 1 out. Comes up with 2 big strikeouts. That'll keep the game tied at 5. We're headed to the bottom of the 6th. Big month of great games in April for the Blue Jays at Rogers Center. Here's the schedule for the month of April. We mentioned the Cleveland Indians in town to open up this season, a 3-game series that starts April 2nd. Boston Red Sox will round out the first homestand Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Chicago White Sox, Robin Ventura, they had a great year last year. They plan on improving that as they participate in the American League Central. And then the New York Yankees. Yankees will be in town for 3 games starting April 19th. For tickets and more information, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234. Log on to BlueJays.com. Or stop by most Rogers Plus locations. New pitcher for the Braves will be Christian Martinez, who had a good year last year working out of the Braves bullpen. He went 5-4 with a good ERA at 3.91. He takes over in this 5-5 game.
Good arm. They claimed him off waivers from the Florida Marlins a couple of years ago. Had a little time with the Braves last year, pitching out of the bullpen.
Bonifacio 1 for 2 takes a strike. It's a ball and a strike. Leadoff man here in the bottom of the 6th. Downstairs. Bonifacio playing in center field for the first time this spring. Many people with the Marlins believe center field is his best position. He's got terrific speed, a strong throwing arm. But he, as we mentioned, and as you know, is competing for the second base position with Meiser Asturias.
Chance to play for the first time out there. Dwayne Murphy had him out in the backfield hitting him fly balls. Says, hey, he can play center field. He's a good athlete.
He's got terrific speed. He had 30 steals in 33 attempts last year. He had a couple of different injuries. He ruptured his tendon in his thumb and a head-first slide at second base. So his season was cut short. stays alive, gets a piece of that breaking ball.
They have him in center field today, like you were talking about. And if they wanted to get a read on what type of outfielder he is, today's a great day for it. He has had about 5 or 6 different types of balls hit at him already in this game. The line drive right at you. He had to go to his right, his left. He had to come in. He had to go back.
Bouncing ball to second. Bonifacio is retired. Jose Reyes may have sparked to this ball club, and this is his performance during the World Baseball Classic. He brings a lot of energy to any team he plays for.
And a lot of speed, enthusiasm, and it rubs off on everybody. There's the excitement, the enthusiasm. This is this afternoon when he was doing the Harlem Shake in between innings with the Brown crew.
He is an awful lot of fun to watch. He'll bat left-handed for the first time this afternoon. Takes one inside. He's 0 for 3. He is flied out twice and grounded to third. Upstairs. The one thing we have seen over the years with Reyes is he's a patient hitter. He'll get on base. He understands his role. That's to score runs.
And in that little video that we just showed you from the WBC, you make a mistake, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Lots of extra base hits, lots of triples. He can find gaps.
It's another ball into the air, into right. As the second baseman, Kazmark, calls for it, makes the catch. 2 quick outs here in the 6th.
Designated hitter, number 11, Roger Davis.
Rajai Davis, the DH here this afternoon, homered in his first at bat. Put the Blue Jays up 1-0 in the first. Then he dropped down what looked to be a perfect bunt leading off the 3rd inning and was thrown out on a great defensive play by Blake DeWitt. Hits this one off the end of the bat right to the second baseman. Quick inning for Christian Martinez. His first inning of relief. We'll go to the 7th. It's a 5-5 game.
Okay, guys.
Station has provided their predictions for the AL East this season with a simulation from MLB 13 The Show. They played out the season, and here's how it played out.
How about those graphics? Don't they look real? It's like watching a television. That looks like Adam Lind. For sure. Another punch out for a Blue Jay.
Well, here's how the season has played out according to MLB 13. And Pat, how do you think that stacks up for what you think?
That's wrong. The Yankees are not going to win 100 games this year. I guess they put it in the 2012 version when everybody was healthy. I could see the Blue Jays winning 97 games, and the Rays, I don't think they're going to win just 72. I think they're going to be better than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Rays are going to be better.
They could all finish first, or they could all finish last.
Yeah.
I think it's right up there.
New pitcher for the Blue Jays is the left-hander, Aaron Loop. He's had a good spring, and he just continued where he left off last year.
Just throw strikes, when you watch him pitch, it looks like he's been here for 10 years in the big leagues. Doesn't get rattled at all. Uses his fastball. He can throw it to both sides of the plate, in and out to the lefties or the righties. He'll spin that breaking ball, and it's very tough for the batters to pick the ball up when he throws from that 3/4 arm slot. So with those numbers you see right there, you got to figure that he's one of the left-handers out of the bullpen.
Looks to be Darren Oliver and Aaron Loup, first two left-handers, and Loup misses with the first pitch down the stairs. Brandon Morrow goes 5 1/3. He's charged with 5 runs on 8 hits. Juan Perez came in and struck out the only 2 batters he faced. That ended the 6th, and now Loup. Ball and a strike to B.J. Upton. Upton is the DH, and he is getting another at bat. This will be his 4th at bat. He's 1 for 3 with a run scored. What do you like about Aaron Loup working out of the bullpen for the Jays?
Well, he throws strikes. That's the one thing you want to see when young kids come up to the big leagues. Are they excitable? Do they throw strikes? And he comes out and he throws strikes. And he doesn't do it with just his fastball. He can throw it with that breaking ball also.
Bouncing ball to short. Ryan Goins comes in to make the play, and that's the first out of the inning. 6-3 on the putout.
You know, a lot of times you can watch young players also who come to the big leagues and just watch their body language, and it can tell you a lot about them. I remember doing a game a few years ago at Yankee Stadium, and a young player came in for the first time, and you could tell he was rattled. Guess what he did? He gave up 5 runs. Aaron Loup doesn't seem to be that type of guy. He seems very under control.
Center fielder Todd Cunningham getting his first at bat of the afternoon. He came on defensively for Reed Johnson back in the 5th. Boy, that's a great pitch. Quality fastball right at the knees. Ball on the strike.
Can't go wrong with that. A well-placed fastball.
Best pitch in baseball. Good breaking ball, catches the outside corner. It's a ball in 2 strikes. Took a shot at that outside corner and missed.
Yeah, not a bad idea. A right-handed batter will give up on that breaking ball. Thinking it's outside. That one went right around the plate.
Good sinker, and Cunningham is down on strikes, 2 outs. I mentioned Brandon Morrow. He went 5 1/3, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs, and he gets a big strikeout there of DeWitt on the slider.
Used all of his pitches, the changeup, the breaking ball, the slider, and a well-placed fastball, cruising right along until the 5th inning. But I think something to build on. He'll have one more start. And it'll probably be a short one, don't you think?
Yeah, just a little tune-up, get out there, break a sweat, get up, get down a couple of innings, and then close the books on spring training. He'll be John Gibbons' number 2 starter when the Blue Jays open up the regular season. R.A. Dickey will start the season opener on Tuesday night, April 2nd. Jose Martinez in his first at bat gets a base hit to left field. Martinez took over in right for Jason Hayward. 2-out single.
That is an Alex Rios clone right there. Tall, lanky. It looks like him too. Gets that inside fastball. Pulls it in the hole for his first hit.
Now the Braves rallied with 2 outs in the 5th. He scored 4 runs, all coming after 2 were out. David Rahm getting his first at bat. He took over defensively in left field for Justin Upton. Bouncing ball toward 3rd. Inning is over. Aaron Loup gives up a 2-out single and nothing more. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. 5-5 game in Dunedin.
advantage with no time for the 17th.
Back at Dunedin, we're pleased to be joined now by the pitching coach of the Toronto Blue Jays, Pete Walker. And Pete, you got to be pleased with the way Brandon Morrow started out his performance today.
Yeah, he came out of the chute throwing the ball well. I really thought in the first 4 innings he attacked the strike zone, did what he wanted to do, mixed in all his pitches today, which was great to see. And we ran into a little trouble there in the 5th, but it was good to get him up and into that 6th inning. With one more start to go in spring.
We had a shot of him being frustrated. Was he frustrated in his outing, or was he frustrated in the balls that just kind of blooped in there with 2 strikes?
Yeah, I think that was part of it, not finishing a couple of guys off. But I think he realized he had a pretty good outing going. He was feeling good. He was on top of just about all his pitches. And I think he felt like he let it get away from him a little bit. Maybe a couple of pitches he wants back. I think the one to Pena with 2 outs there in the 5th inning, but which led to a few things. But I think overall he threw the ball great. Pleased where he is today. He was very pleased with the way he threw the ball, aside from the results in that 1 inning.
What's the next step for him before the regular season?
Yeah, I think to finish spring strong. I think he came out today with a great game plan. I think he was looking to mix in all his pitches today for the first time. So I think we're going to repeat that next outing, and really look forward to the start of the season for Brandon.
When you look at Aaron Loop come out there, it looks as though Loop's just picked up where he left off last year. How do you break down his spring?
He's been fantastic. Model of consistency for a young guy. Just a different look from that left side. Obviously gives hitters, both right-handers and left-handers, a tough time. Has had a great spring, carries himself like a 10-year vet, so I give him a lot of credit. The older guys have really taken to him. He's a competitor, and I'm really pleased with the way he's throwing the ball right now. And again, he's ready to go as well.
What about Ricky Romero? Of course, he's been a topic of a lot of discussion. What's your thoughts about Ricky Romero at this point?
It's been a tough spring at times. He's obviously working on something that we all feel he needs to do, including Ricky. And hopefully we can finish the spring strong for him and get him in a position to where he needs to be effective again at the major league level. He's a competitor, and he wants to be good for this team. He wants the best for the city of Toronto. So we're looking to get him on track, and looking forward to his next start.
Pete, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there enough time in spring training for Ricky with the changes that he's making to take it right into the regular season?
It's going to be tough. There's no doubt, but I think he can do it, and I think he's done it before. That's big for Ricky. It was a few years ago that he went through the same process. As time went on the last few years, he kind of creeped into some old habits that we need to correct. And for his longevity and for him to be effective consistently, I think there are changes that need to be made, and he knows it. So if it's 2 days, if it's 2 weeks, if it's longer than that, I think for the benefit of the Blue Jays, it's important to get that done now.
Pete, last time out he worked in a minor league game and it was cut short. How much of the fact that it was cut short had to do with that mechanical change?
It did. You know, he just it was an issue where he came out of the gate. He's had some good bullpens, good side sessions. It's a matter of carrying it into the game, and you know, I think he really did. That first inning was a tough first inning, and you know, nobody. You know, you don't count on luck by any stretch, but the first couple of balls that got in there, 2 pitches, and he had first and third, and it was just like, I could, you know, sense here we go again. We got to get over that, and we got to get into just making pitches, you know, being an athlete out there, attacking the strike zone, feeling good about himself. He's got tremendous stuff. We all know that, and it's just a matter of, you know, I think fine-tuning his delivery a little bit and getting him back in the strike zone and competing at a high level.
Pete, R.A. threw in a minor league game yesterday. Any reports on that? How'd he do?
Yeah, he was great. I know he gave up a couple home runs early. From what he said, it was wind-blown. I wasn't there for that one. I was here. But, you know, I guess from innings 3 through 8, he was fantastic. And I know Henry Blanco had great things to say about the knuckler. It was dive bombing in the zone. He was throwing it for strikes. The kids had to swing over there. And I know R.A. felt really good about where he was. He got up to 100 pitches. And he feels he's ready to go for the start of the season as well.
Pete, there was a good day for the bullpen yesterday. You got Casey Jansen, Sergio Santos, and Ishmael Rogers out there. First of all, address Casey Jansen, who's coming back from surgery.
You know, he's you know, keeping my fingers crossed, I guess, with him throughout the spring. He's been great. You know, we had a plan. You know, we kept it kind of quiet as to, you know, how we wanted it to go about, and he's really responded. He looked great. I think anybody that saw him pitch saw the old Casey Jansen. You know, aside from maybe a mile or two off on the velocity, I mean, the stuff was good. The stuff was crisp. His delivery looked normal. So he's in a good place. You know, it's just a matter of recovery for him right now. If he bounces back in between these last few outings, you know, I feel like he'll be ready to go. You know, if he's not quite where he needs to be, then we'll have to reconsider. But, you know, right now, he came in today feeling good, and I'm looking forward to his next outing.
Sergio Santos struck out the side in the 8th inning. How do you think he threw?
I thought he threw the ball well. You know, aside from the first, the leadoff walk, I think he threw the ball well. I think he's starting to command his fastball a little bit better. I think the velocity's starting to come. His sliders is as good as ever at times. So, you know, I think his stuff is there. I think he's very confident in his stuff right now. And, again, you know, it's nice at this point of the spring for guys to feel good about their game, and I think he feels good about his game right now.
And Sergio has said, Pete, that he wants to go back-to-back days. Is that in the schedule for next week?
Yeah, it is for Sergio. You know, Casey, we're not sure. We'd like to. It may not happen. But Sergio is scheduled, and as long as he's bouncing back great right now, you know, there's long tossing in between outings. So, you know, he's going to get back-to-back days, and he should be good to go.
Adam Minton off the end of the bat, 2nd for 1, back to first, double play. Pete Walker, a lot of great information. Thanks for your time.
You got it, guys.
All right. That's Pete Walker. Minton bounces into a double play. We'll go to the 8th. It's 5-5. Well, there's a lot of excitement around the Blue Jays this year, and you can make sure you won't get left out if you log on to jaysshop.ca. You can get suited up for the 2013 season at jaysshop.ca. Jaysshop.ca has the largest online selection of authentic Blue Jays caps, T-shirts, jerseys, and more. Visit jaysshop.ca or call 1-877-JAYSHOP. Lots of Jays jerseys here, of course, in beautiful Florida. Lots of Canadians have made their way down over this last weekend. We got a chance to visit with a lot of them prior to today's game, and they're happy that the sun has come out. And a new pitcher for the Blue Jays will be Ishmael Rogers. He's working in back-to-back days as he closed out yesterday's ball game.
And it's important that relievers towards the end of spring training be able to work back-to-back days. There's that soreness that you have to work out there, and you've got to build up that arm strength. Rogers is another one. Throw out those numbers from spring training, an ERA over 7. He's got a great arm, good fastball, and a curveball that he'll use for strikeouts. So he is going to get his work in and have his inning.
Ishmael Rogers is 27 years old. There's a drive toward left. Third baseman Salcido, Edward Salcido, has hit the first pitch out of the ballpark. That breaks the 5-5 tie. Salcido getting his first at bat of the afternoon, making the most of it.
Showing off some power. Not waiting around to get that curveball for a strikeout pitch. He gets the first pitch he sees from Rogers. It's down and in, and he turns on it. And on line to left field. Snaps that 5-5 tie.
First time of the afternoon for Atlanta. They now have collected 10 hits and taken a 6-5 lead. Rogers was acquired from the Cleveland Indians. There's a little looper into center field. Jonathan Jones moves from right to center.
Now playing second base with Blue Jays number 69, Kane Open. Second baseman number 85, Sean Kazmar.
Sean Kazmar, the second baseman, has a busy day. He's 1 for 3, doubled in the 6th inning.
He said a lot of interesting things, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Covered a lot of ground.
About the pitching staff, relievers going back-to-back days. Sergio felt good. That's a good sign. Saw Casey Jansen today, and he said he's very sore after his 1 inning yesterday. Now all the pieces are starting to come together. The opinions have been formed, and now they have these meetings, and they decide what 25 players are going to break.
Yeah, and you know what? We talked about opening day, and there's a fly ball into the gap in right center. Jones cruising over to his left, gets there and makes the play. 2 down. But we were talking about the artificial deadline of opening day, and both these guys want to break with the ball club opening day. Sergio Santos had 3 strikeouts in his 1 inning award. Casey Jansen was great. Good command, used all his pitches, but as you mentioned, he's sore today, so that's going to push him back a day or two and allow that soreness to get out of there.
I think you're absolutely right about everybody thinks the deadline to make the team is when they break camp next Thursday and head to Philadelphia, and that's it, and no more moves are going to happen. It's an artificial deadline. I think you got to go into the season with the big picture in mind. If Brett Lawrie is not 100%, you play him in minor league games. Maybe he misses the first homestand because of the injury. Better to have him healthy for 5.5 months than to get him back a little bit too quickly and then he is out for 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, that is a artificial deadline that's created a lot of anxiety among players for years, but it's only 1 day. Certainly Brett Lawrie had to stay down here and get himself in game shape. So be it. Just as soon have him for 5.5 months than have to miss him again as we saw last year.
And the decisions that they're going to have to be making in the pitching staff, those aren't written in stone. They're written in pencil. They can erase them.
To give you an idea how many times they erased them last year, the Blue Jays used 54 different position players last year and 34 different pitchers. Off-speed pitch. Rogers strikes out DeWitt. That slider, and Rogers had a good outing yesterday. Gives up a leadoff home run, settles down, and retires the next 3 in order. Braves have taken a 6-5 lead. It's a big game. Don't miss this as the Miami Heat go after their 26th consecutive wins. Charlotte and Miami tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on Sportsnet 1. Tabby, you're a great basketball fan. What's that mean in historic perspective? 36 in a row.
33 in a row is the record in the NBA by the 71-72 Los Angeles Lakers. And you remember the Lakers, Wilt, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich. I mean, they had a fantastic team. They won 33 in a row before they were beat by the Milwaukee Bucks and Lou Alcindor. Can they do it? I think they can do it. They're not playing some very good teams as they march to it. I think I marked it out. Game number 29, I think, is at the Spurs, which what would be game number 29 in a row is at the Spurs. That's where they could trip up.
That's the big pothole that lurks out there. Jerry West himself thinks that they can do it. He likes their team so much. And, of course, LeBron James has taken his game to another level this year. But NBA action right here tomorrow night. Andy Burns cuts on a breaking ball outside. Christian Martinez has had a nice outing. Burns came into the ball game defensively back in the 7th. Took over for Mark DeRosa. Another fastball, a strikeout. Blue Jays trailed by a run, but they got off to a good start offensively, and Rajai Davis started everything in the first.
Looked like they were in mid-season form early in this ball game against a young pitcher, Gil Martin, as Melky Cabrera also went deep, his second of the season. And then JP, this is a good sign. He's had a good afternoon with the bat. He's been on base 4 times, and that's always a good sign when he's powering the ball to left center field. JP picked up his second home run of the spring.
Shane Opitz is batting, came into the game defensively in the top half of the inning, goes after the first pitch and hits it deep to right. Jose Martinez is back on the warning track, and Opitz just missed tying this game up.
He was right on cue with our home run that we were showing this afternoon.
Christian Martinez doing a nice job in relief. He's worked. This is his 3rd inning of relief.
Blue Jays saw him last year. Martinez down in Atlanta, if you remember that. He gave up 6 hits and 3 runs in a couple of innings. Didn't look like this type of pitcher. He looked wild. He was throwing the ball all over the place. The game seems to be slowing down for him.
Marcus Connect goes after a changeup, not getting his first at bat. Marcus, of course, from Toronto, makes another strike. This will be his 4th season. He played right here in Dunedin last year and had a tough season with the bat, but that's not unusual. You know that very well, the veteran of many Florida State League seasons. Pat, tell us how come it's so tough to hit in this league.
You got the big ballparks. Okay, first of all, it's an older league, meaning that the players here in A-ball are like 22 or 23 years old. It's hot. It is tough to hit in the Florida State League.
Christian Martinez with a couple of strikeouts retires the Blue Jays in order. We'll go to the 9th. Atlanta leads at 6-5.
All right, Dan. Here's section 2 of
The Blue Jays will be on FX Canada tomorrow. It's home of the Blue Jays versus the Twins. Bonus coverage tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Take note that the game is not available on Bell. Catch the Blue Jays and Twins tomorrow, and you get a chance to see David Bush, former Blue Jay who is back with the organization, and David Bush has got a chance to make this club.
Heard that today.
Pitched very well. John Gibbons loves the way that Bush keeps control of the ball game, doesn't get himself in trouble, and a new pitcher for the Blue Jays will be Clint Everts, the veteran of the minor leagues. Everts has pitched a total of 330 games in the minor leagues. He was signed originally by the New York Mets. Excuse me, he was signed originally by the Montreal Expos in the first round, long time ago in 2002.
That wasn't that long ago, was it? First round pick of the Montreal Expos, 5th overall. Just hasn't been able to make that final jump from AAA to the big leagues.
He's the 5th pitcher to work for the Blue Jays. Brandon Morrow started and went 5 1/3. Juan Perez struck out the only 2 batters he faced. Aaron Loop had a good inning of work. Ishmael Rogers gave up just 1 hit, but it was a home run. It has given the Braves a 1-0 lead, or excuse me, a 1-run lead. Blue Jays are winding down their spring schedule, and it has been a long spring for sure. Blue Jays got into camp about the 12th of February, and it's been a long grind. And now at this point of the season, they're trying to refine the roster. John Gibbons has got some decisions to make. Who's going to be the backup catcher? Henry Blanco appears to have the upper hand as he's been doing a lot of the catching of R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, you have to take into consideration R.A. Dickey will be throwing on opening day and every 5th day. Henry Blanco seems to work really well with them. Pete said he caught him yesterday.
There's a long drive to right. The only question is fair or foul, and it is a foul ball.
There are little things that you can watch for in spring training, and that's one of them, I think. Who's catching R.A. Dickey now that he's back from the WBC? And Pete said that Henry caught him yesterday, so that's a little sign that he might have the upper hand.
Extra outfield is probably going to be Rajai Davis. We've got 2 guys that can swing in Isturiz, he could play an emergency outfield if possible, but Bonifacio is a legitimate outfielder that can play in the infield and in the outfield.
Who still has a chance of winning the everyday job at second base.
Oh, I think it's a dogfight. I think we're going to go right down to the end to see who starts, and we might see a little rotation there, not necessarily a platoon system because they're both switch hitters. Bonifacio and Meiser Isturiz. Mark DeRosa is destined to be on this team. Backup third baseman, first baseman. He can play in the outfield as well. And with the uncertain status of Brett Lawrie, DeRosa is a guy that they probably figure at this time will be playing at third base if Lawrie can't answer the bell. But that decision is still a few days down the road.
And each one of those decisions, injury decisions, I think they're intertwined, because if there is an injury to a starter, can you take an extra reliever then? I think they're going to go 13 pitchers and 12 regulars myself.
Yeah. John Gibbons mentioned that today. He plans on taking extra pitcher at the start. Jay Happ's an interesting pitcher. He has really thrown the ball well all spring long. And John Gibbons hasn't missed that fact, of course.
Well, if they do take 13 pitchers, 5 starters, that's 8 relievers. So there's an extra reliever right there where they don't have, they've got some decisions to make on some guys who have to be sent down and then exposed to waivers, and I don't think they want to lose those guys.
Brett Cecil and Jeremy Jeffers, 2 guys that are out of options, and they would be exposed. Back-to-back walks issued by Everett's here as he starts the ninth. First and second, nobody out. Atlanta with a 1-run lead. Pete Walker is out of the dugout going to the mound to see if he can't help out his right-hander. When you try to figure out how they're going to sort out the Ricky Romero situation, and we heard Pete Walker's thoughts about Romero might have a chance to iron out his mechanical issues with the new delivery, the new position on the rubber before the end of spring training. But again, that artificial deadline of opening day is something that I don't think is a big concern for John Gibbons.
I don't think you should make those types of decisions with that date in mind. I think you should do what's best for the ball player. And if you make a decision, let's take a Brett Lawrie, for instance. If he's not healthy, just to get him ready and say, well, yeah, he's okay to open up at home versus Cleveland, I think you're doing him a disservice. You got to make sure that he's 100%. And I think the same thing with Ricky Romero.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Brett Lawrie is going to be a star in this game for a long time. And he missed a month last year because of an oblique strain on the right side. And, players, they think they're all 10 foot tall and bulletproof. They think they can do anything. So you've got to take that decision out of their hands and do it as a staff. Training staff, George Poulos and his training staff will have some input. I'm sure Gibbons will listen to Louis Rivera and Chad Mottola, and they'll all try to put their heads together and make the best decision for the ball club.
And Gibby has stuck to that. He has said from day one, I'm going to take the best ball players to make the best team north with me.
Breaking ball time. Cunningham strikes out. That's the first out of the inning. He has struck out twice since entering the game as a defensive replacement. Well, the expectations are sky high for this edition of the Blue Jays. A lot of people penciled them in to play in the World Series already before we've even played a single game. So you just got to think that they're anxious to get off to a good start. We showed you the opening day schedule, the opening month schedule. Cleveland will be in town. Boston follows them. Then the Blue Jays will go out to Detroit and Kansas City. Detroit, of course, pretty good club.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in the American League. Don't you?
Yeah, and they got Victor Martinez back. So now they got the Triple Crown winner, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, and Victor Martinez, Torrey Hunter.
Torrey Hunter.
Who is anxious to finally get a World Series ring. He was signed in the offseason.
Austin Jackson.
Yeah, they got a good ball club. They're well rounded. The only question they have is who's going to close out games for them. They thought it was going to be Bruce Rondon. We saw him back in February. He doesn't look like the guy, but how about the spring Rick Porcello has put together?
How about that?
He has been lights out.
I even saw an article about maybe moving him to the bullpen.
Yeah, that was discussed at some point this spring.
I say he's 24 years old. He's pitched in the big leagues 3 or 4 years. I think he's ready to take the next step.
Yeah, if he follows the path of Max Scherzer, the way he's improved, they're going to have 3 aces at the top of their rotation. 1-2. Breaking ball back up the middle. Into center field for a base hit. Runner coming around third. Here's the throw from Jonathan Jones. It's cut off. Pena scores from second. It's 7-5 Braves. Rick Porcello, we mentioned what a good spring he's having. How about no walks in 18 innings? 17 strikeouts. He's just turned his numbers around from last year.
Right. Made a little bit of a tweak with his sinker. He's throwing it for strikes. They're not squaring it up. I've even read some articles about him possibly, scouts watching him pitch, that they might trade him. And I'm like, that's crazy.
They're not trading him. Scouts can say that all they want to, but they're not trading Rick Porcello. He's in the prime of his career, and he's a young guy, 24, and he's got, what, 3.5, 4 years under his belt?
Why would you?
No.
To fill the one hole that looks like they have, and that is that closer. I don't see it.
No. You can find relievers. I mean, there are relievers all over the place, and bullpens are inconsistent. They don't seem to be able to put back-to-back years together with the same cast of characters. So I think you'll see the bullpen for Detroit bounce back a little. They're going to have Albuquerque for a full season. He was out last year, came back and threw well at the end of the season.
Benoit
and Dotel, they're timeless. They just throw very well. Phil Cope did a good job of closing for them at the end of the season.
And I still think Rondon's going to be their closer. I really do. He's getting, better.
Well, their manager over there has got a little experience. Jim Leland. And he didn't want to put too much pressure on anybody. So they have taken it out of Rondon's hands and said, well, he's a good pitcher and he'll probably be all right. Well, he throws 100.
Yeah. And he's working the slider, and now have you seen his strikeouts his last couple of times?
He's coming around, and you know what? Leland's not going to anoint him the closer. He might run him out there and let him close games and not really say that he's a closer.
That's how you do it, right?
But the discussion about the Tigers came out of the first road trip for the Blue Jays. They'll go to Detroit for 3, Kansas City for 3, and then come back and take on the White Sox for a 4-game series before the Yankees come to town. Blue Jays are going to get a steady dose of Yankees early in the season. There's a good breaking ball. There's a strikeout. Yes, Everett's picks up his second strikeout. A couple of walks, a couple of strikeouts, and the Braves have scored a run here in this inning.
And that could be a good thing. Say the Yankees early in the season, because they are dealing with all kind of problems.
Doesn't sound like Jeter's going to make the opening day. And as we talked about, it's not that big a deal, but I think it's more significant that Derek Jeter doesn't make opening day than it is for Brett Lawrie not to make opening day, given the fact Jeter's 38 years old. Coming off a broken ankle. Edward Salcedo homered in his only at-bat that came back in the 8th inning against Ismael Rogers.
If there's one team that can't wait for the spring training schedule to get over with and get the heck out of Florida, it's the Yankees.
They've had a tough time.
Nothing but bad news all
First
spring.
game, lost Curtis Granderson with a broken arm. Then they lost Mark Teixeira, possibly for the season. Sounds like Alex Rodriguez is nowhere near baseball activities.
Phil Hughes throws his first bullpen and has to get shut down because of the neck problem.
Yeah, they got a lot of problems.
Their GM.
Yeah, he broke his ankle skydiving. That's a bad spring.
That's a bad spring. So they can't wait to get out of here, I'm sure.
2-1. High, deep drive to left. Salcedo has done it again. His second home run of the afternoon. A 3-run shot. Edward Salcedo's got some pop.
He hit first pitch fastball his first time up. from Esmil Rogers for a home run. Line drive to left field. So the Blue Jays tried to slip a couple of breaking balls by him. First pitch was a called strike, and then the one hung by Eberts hit a long way. Watch the breaking ball just kind of hang over the middle of the strike zone, and the young man smokes it to left field. It's a nice looking swing right there. That's a big league swing.
Salcedo played at Lynchburg last year. It's 17 home runs. Blake DeWitt's had a busy day. He pulls that pitch foul. Salcedo is from the Dominican Republic. He's just 21 years old. He's got some power.
21? Wow.
He's had home run seasons of 12 and 17 his last 2 years.
That's called developing power.
Yeah,
right.
That's
there.
something you don't see.
Yeah, that's always the last thing to come for a young hitter.
Anytime you see minor league home run numbers, that piques everybody's interest. Will Myers is a great example of that. Sharply hit past the second baseman into center field. Blake DeWitt rounding first, headed for second. Here's the throw from center, not in time. Bounces over Peter Mooney's glove, and been an up and down inning for Clint Everts, and Pete Walker's going to make a pitching change. So Blake DeWitt doubles, a home run and a double, and that's going to be it for Everts as Pete Walker has made the call for the bullpen. Atlanta with 4 runs here in the 9th. We'll be back. New pitcher into the ball game.
It looks like
new pitcher for the Blue Jays is Chad Beck, who was with the club earlier, was sent back to the minor league camp. He's trying to close things out with 2 outs here in the 9th. Throws 1 pitch, and that ball is popped in the left. Brian Glenn makes the play. The inning is over. Beck does his job on just 1 pitch. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Blue Jays down by 5. Well, we talked about all the great action coming up in the baseball season with the Tigers and the White Sox, the Royals. You can get ready for the 2013 baseball season with MLB.TV. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in HD quality. Watch up to 4 games at once with multi-game viewing. Season subscriptions start at $109.99. Visit BlueJays.com for more details and pick up MLB.TV. There's certainly going to be a lot to watch as the American League has a new team. The Houston Astros will be in the American League West. And the American League West has already been a talk of great competition. You mentioned the Seattle Mariners and how much they've improved with the addition of Michael Morris and Kendrys Morales. They've got great pitching. Oakland, of course, last year, the surprise team to come out of the West and play so well.
I don't think that's a shock this year.
No, they're legit.
I do. And you're probably going to think I'm crazy. I think they're going to win again. Even though the Rangers, the changes they made, the Angels, the changes they made, I still pick Oakland because of their great pitching.
They've got pitching. They've got a bunch of it. New pitcher for the Braves is Wirfin Obispo. Christian Martinez went 3 good innings, allowed just 2 hits. Here's the numbers for Obispo. AA, AAA a year ago, and he's got a big arm.
Yeah, big arm. He's 29 years old. He doesn't have any time in the big leagues. Signed by the Braves as a minor league free agent back in November. Spent some time in the Reds organization.
Pretty good pitch. He didn't get the call. Peter Mooney came in the ball game in the 6th inning defensively at shortstop. This is his first at bat. Ball misses outside. It's 3-1. The AL West with Josh Hamilton signing with the Braves and former Brave Tommy Hanson going to be in their pitching rotation. This ball is popped up into shallow center. Cunningham in to make the grab, 1 down. But I agree with you in Oakland. They picked up Chris Young from Arizona in the offseason. And their pitching is going to be a real strength.
I don't think that was a fluke, what they did last year. They've got great starters. They go deep into the count. Bob Melvin does a great job with that team, handling the pitching staff. They've got some good players. Yoenis Cespedes is a good player. You and I really liked what we saw from him last year.
You know what? He was dealing with so many issues off the field that nobody was aware of. His family was detained in Turks and Caicos as they were trying to make their way from Cuba for about a year. And he couldn't help them out. Rajai Davis lines out to the second baseman, but Cespedes, with a free mind, a clear mind, should just be better and better. I think he's going to be an MVP candidate.
Didn't he just meet his family for the first time in like years in spring training? I thought I saw a story about that, which is very touching. And those are the kind of things you're talking about dealing with that nobody knows about, on top of trying to play this game.
Big burden, and I'm anxious to see him play again. Brad Glenn. Ground ball to third. This should do it. Cross the diamond, and that's it. Ball game is over. Atlanta with a couple of big innings, a 4-run 5th inning and a 4-run 9th inning. Beat the Blue Jays 10-5. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next time from Philadelphia in about a week. Hockey Central is next on Sportsnet Pacific. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.